Welcome. Tonight we leave behind the comforts of the modern world. We leave behind the paved roads, the climate-controlled rooms, and the silence of insulated walls. We are journeying back deep into the heart of the Central American rainforest. More than 1,000 years ago, when we think of the Maya today, we often picture the silent, gray ruins of Chichen Itza or Tikal. We see the grand stone temples rising above the tree line, quiet and majestic. But history was not silent. It was not gray. It was a vibrant, humid, and often exhausting struggle against the overwhelming force of nature. Close your eyes and imagine the heat. It is a heavy, wet heat that clings to your skin the moment the sun rises. Imagine the air, thick with the scent of damp earth, decaying vegetation, and the smoke of cooking fires. This is not a place of leisure. It is a civilization carved out of a jungle that is constantly trying to grow back, constantly trying to reclaim the stone and the soil. Tonight we will walk in the footsteps of those who lived here. We will not look at the kings in their jade masks just yet. First we must understand the mud, the sweat, and the stone. We will explore the reality of life in a Mayan city, a life of immense beauty, yes, but also a life of relentless, back-breaking labor, a life where the gods were demanding, the jungle was unforgiving, and the rhythm of the day was dictated by the rising sun and the falling rain. So let yourself settle in, let your breathing slow down. The jungle is vast, and our journey through it will be slow and steady. We begin in darkness, not the darkness of a city room with the faint glow of streetlights bleeding through the curtains, but a total absolute blackness that presses against your eyes. You are awake. You have been awake for some time, lying perfectly still. Listen to the sound of your own breathing. It is slow, shallow. The air you inhale is not cool night air. It is thick, heavy, and wet. Even at this hour, before the sun has dared to rise, the humidity is nearly 100%. It sits on your skin like a damp cloth. You can feel the moisture collecting in the hollow of your throat, behind your knees, in the creases of your elbows. You are sweating, even in your sleep. You are lying on a patate, a mat woven from dried reeds. It offers no cushion against the hard-packed earth floor beneath you. Every irregularity in the ground, every small stone that has worked its way to the surface, presses into your hip and shoulder. You know these bumps intimately. They are the geography of your rest. Your body has not adapted to them. It has simply surrendered to them. There is a sound above you, a rustling in the dried palm fronds that make up your roof. The thatch is thick, home to thousands of spiders, scorpions, and lizards. You do not react. In this world, you are never truly alone. The jungle does not stop at your door. It weaves itself into the very structure of your home. You sit up. The movement is stiff. Your back complains with a dull, grinding ache that radiates down to your legs. This is the farmer's back, a permanent condition caused by a lifetime of bending, lifting, and chopping. You are 30 years old, but your joints feel 50. You reach out in the dark and find the water gourd. It is warm. You take a sip. The water tastes of earth and limestone. It does not refresh you. It merely keeps you alive. You stand. The hut is small, a single room shared by your entire family. You hear the rhythmic breathing of your wife, the soft shifting of your children. You move silently, a ghost in your own home, guided by muscle memory. You find your loincloth, the axe. The cotton is rough, stained with the soil of 1,000 days. You tie it around your waist. This is your armor. Stepping outside, you are hit by the smell. It is an overwhelming organic scent. The smell of rotting leaves, wet mud, blooming night flowers, and the faint, acrid lingering of yesterday's wood smoke. The sky to the east is not yet bright, but it is a lighter shade of gray, the color of a bruised plum. You gather your tools. Pick up your axe. Feel the handle. It is made of polished hardwood, smooth and dark from the oils of your own hand. But the head is stone, just stone. It lacks the bite of metal. It is blunt force and geometry. You weigh it in your hand. This inert object will dictate every second of your next 12 hours. You begin to walk. The path to the milpa, your cornfield, is a narrow vein cut through the green muscle of the forest. The vegetation on either side is aggressive, ferns that reach your chest, vines covered in thorns that seem to reach out for your skin. The mud sucks at your bare feet. Squelch, step, squelch, step. It is a sound that defines your existence. The mud is cool, oozing between your toes, possibly harboring parasites that will burrow into your skin. But you cannot worry about that now. As you walk, the jungle begins to scream. The howler monkeys. Their call is not a chatter. It is a roar, a deep guttural sound that vibrates in your chest, echoing for miles. To a stranger, it sounds like a demon. To you, it is simply the alarm clock of the rainforest. It signifies that the sun is coming, and with the sun comes the heat. You walk for an hour. The city of Palenque is behind you. You are moving into the deep bush. You pass other men, silent shadows carrying their own stone burdens. You do not speak. Energy is precious. You save your breath for the work. Finally, you arrive at the clearing, the milpa. It is not a neat, flat field like the farms of the future. It is a chaotic scar on the landscape. Burnt tree stumps, black and jagged, poke out of the ground like broken teeth. Ash covers everything, a gray powder that coats your legs within seconds. And rising from the ash, the green stalks of maize. They are tall, but they are fragile. Vines are already trying to strangle them. Weeds are pushing up through the ash. The jungle is trying to take this land back. It is a siege, and you are the only line of defense. You stop. You look at a massive mahogany tree at the edge of the clearing. It blocks the light. It must come down. You approach the tree. Its bark is thick, rugged. You raise the stone axe. You take a breath of the heavy, wet air, and you swing. Thud. The sound is dead. The stone does not cut cleanly. It crushes the fibers of the wood. The shock wave travels up the handle, jarring your wrists, your elbows, your shoulders. You have made a tiny dent, a scratch. You swing again. Thud. And again. Thud. This is your morning. Not minutes of this, but hours. Thousands of swings. The sweat begins to flow within the first 10 minutes. It runs into your eyes, stinging them with salt. It runs down your back, soaking the cotton of your loincloth. Insects, drawn to the moisture and the CO2 of your breath, form a cloud around your head. Tiny black flies that bite, mosquitoes that carry fevers. You cannot swat them. If you stop to swat, the tree does not fall, so you let them bite. You let them feed on you, just as you feed on the corn. It is a cycle. You are part of the food chain, even while you work. Hours have passed. The rhythm of the axe has become the only measure of time. Thud, pause, thud, pause. Now look up. You must squint, for the sky has turned a blinding polished white. The sun is no longer an object in the sky. It is a physical weight pressing down on the top of your head. It is high noon in the tropics. The shadows have vanished. The trees no longer offer shelter. They stand straight and exposed. The air has stopped moving entirely. In the early morning there was a faint breeze, a whisper of air. Now the atmosphere is stagnant. It is solid. You are breathing in hot soup. Every breath requires effort, expanding your ribs against the heavy, humid pressure. You stop chopping. Your arms are trembling. A fine, involuntary vibration in the muscles of your forearms. You drop the heavy stone axe to the ground. It lands with a dull thud in the ash. Your hands are locked into a claw shape, stiff from gripping the handle for 4 hours straight. You have to use your other hand to pry your fingers open one by one. The skin of your palms is raw, blistered where the wood rubbed against calluses. It is time for the midday pause, but do not mistake this for rest. You walk to the edge of the clearing, where a temporary lean-to made of palm fronds offers a small dark patch of shade. You collapse onto the dirt. The ground here is cooler, but it swarms with life. You brush away a line of leafcutter ants marching methodically across your ankle. They are carrying pieces of your world away bit by bit. You reach for the gourd again. The water. Lift it to your lips. It is light, too light. You have been rationing it, but the heat thieves moisture from your body faster than you can replace it. You take a drink. The water is hot now, heated by the ambient air. It offers no cooling sensation. It slides down your throat like warm oil. It tastes of the rind of the gourd and the stagnant, earthy flavor of the limestone cistern it came from. You want to gulp it down, to drain the vessel, but you cannot. If you drink it all now, you will have nothing for the walk home. You force yourself to lower the gourd. The thirst remains, a dry, scratching presence at the back of your throat. You reach into your woven bag. It is time to eat. You pull out a ball of pozo, corn dough mixed with water. It is wrapped in a banana leaf. You take a bite. It is dense, sour, and gritty. As you chew, you feel the texture. There is sand in it. There is always sand in it. The grinding stones of the metate at home are slowly dissolving into your food. Grind, swallow, grind, swallow. You are eating the stone that rules your life. As you sit there, chewing slowly, the jungle falls silent. This is the midday hush. The birds have sought deep cover. The monkeys are sleeping. Even the insects seem to pause. The silence is heavy, ringing in your ears. It is in this silence that the isolation hits you. You are a tiny, fragile biological machine, surrounded by a green ocean that wants to consume you. If you stopped fighting, if you stopped cutting, the vines would cover this clearing in a month. In a year, the trees would return. In a decade, no one would know you were ever here. But you cannot stop. You have tools to mend. You pull out your sickle. The handle is wood, but the blade is made of obsidian, volcanic glass. It is sharper than any steel that will be invented for 1,000 years, but it is as brittle as ice. The edge has chipped on a tough vine. It is useless now. You take a small piece of deer antler from your pouch. You hold the black stone between your knees. You must be precise. You place the tip of the antler against the edge of the glass. You apply pressure, increasing pressure. Your hand shakes slightly from fatigue, but you lock your wrist. Snap. A tiny flake of black glass flies off. It spins in the air, catching a ray of sunlight before disappearing into the dirt. You examine the edge. It is sharper now. You rotate the stone. Snap. Another flake. This sound, the snap of stone on stone, is the sound of human defiance against the wild. It is a slow, hypnotic process. You focus entirely on the angle of the pressure. The world narrows down to the black edge of the blade. You forget the heat. You forget the thirst. There is only the glass, the antler, and the break. You run your thumb lightly along the new edge. A thin line of red appears on your skin. You don't feel it cut. It is that sharp. You watch the droplet of blood pool on your dirty thumb. You wipe it on your loincloth. It is a small sacrifice. The tool is ready. You look up. The sun has moved. The shadows are returning, stretching long and thin towards the east. The silence is breaking. The cicadas are starting their afternoon shriek, a rising mechanical buzz that sounds like a headache. You stand up. Your legs are stiff. The sweat, which had dried into a crust of salt on your skin during your rest, becomes liquid again the moment you move. You pick up the sickle. The easy work of the afternoon begins. 4 hours of bending over, pulling weeds by hand, your face inches from the soil, smelling the decay and the growth. The jungle is waiting. The light does not leave the jungle gradually, it retreats. The canopy above, which filtered the sunlight all day, now acts as a lid, sealing the darkness in before the sun has even fully set. You stop pulling weeds. Your hands are caked in dark soil, the dirt packed deep under your fingernails, where it will remain for the rest of your life. You straighten your back. The spine cracks audibly, a sharp, dry sound in the humid air. The pain in your lower back is no longer a sensation. It is a part of your anatomy, as constant as your heartbeat. But you cannot walk home empty-handed. Energy is the currency of the pre-industrial world, and you cannot waste the trip. You must gather firewood. You move to the edge of the clearing, gathering fallen branches. They are damp, heavy with water weight. You stack them into a bundle. You do not carry them in your arms. That would be inefficient. You use the me-clap. You take a leather strap attached to the bundle and place it across the top of your forehead. You lean forward, engaging the muscles of your neck. As you stand, the entire weight of the wood hangs from your skull. The strap digs into your skin. Your neck muscles strain, bulging with the effort. This is how you carry everything. This is why, if archaeologists were to find your skeleton in 1,000 years, they would see the vertebrae of your neck fused and compressed. You are a beast of burden in human form. The walk home is a blur of exhaustion. The path is darker now. The roots of the ceiba trees seem to rise up to trip you. You walk with your head down, eyes fixed on the mud 1 meter in front of you. Step, breath, step, breath. The only rhythm is the blood pounding in your ears, amplified by the pressure of the tump line. Finally, the smell hits you. Not the smell of the jungle, but the smell of humanity. Wood smoke, burnt corn, the faint, sour scent of sweat and unwashed bodies. You are home. You drop the wood outside the hut. The relief is instant, a rush of blood returning to your head that makes you dizzy for a moment. You step inside. The hut is glowing orange. A small fire burns in the center on a hearth of 3 stones, the 3 stones of creation. Your wife is there. She has not stopped moving either. While you fought the forest, she fought the stone. She has spent 6 hours kneeling over the metate, grinding corn. Her knees are callous pads. Her hands are strong, dusted white with maize flour. There is no greeting. No, how was your day? Talk takes energy. You sit on a low wooden stool. She hands you a gourd bowl. Dinner is the same as breakfast, the same as lunch. Maize. Perhaps tonight it is a tole, a warm, thick gruel flavored with chili peppers. The heat of the peppers wakes up your tired mouth. It is the only excitement your palate knows. You drink it slowly, feeling the warmth spread through your chest, fighting the damp chill that settles in the jungle at night. The family eats together, crouched on the dirt floor. The shadows cast by the fire dance on the walls, and this is when the fear begins. To the Maya, the night is not just the absence of light. It is the presence of Xibalba, the underworld, the caves, the cenotes, the darkness. They are all portals. And when the sun dies in the west, the lords of death roam the earth. You look at the thatched roof. It is full of noise. Scuttling, scratching. Is it a gecko, a rat, or is it a way? A way is a spirit companion. A sorcerer from a rival village could send his spirit, a jaguar, a snake, an owl, to sit on your roof and breathe sickness into your home while you sleep. You listen intensely. The jungle outside is screaming. Millions of insects, frogs, and night birds creating a wall of sound. But you are listening for the unnatural silence within the noise. You see your youngest child coughing in the corner. Is it the smoke, or is it a curse? You do not know. You have no microscope, no antibiotics, no germ theory. You have only fear and ritual. You stand up one last time to bury a small offering, a few kernels of corn, under the hearthstones, a payment to the house spirits to keep the darkness at bay. You lie down on the patat. The fire dies to embers, staring at you like red eyes. The darkness is absolute. You are crowded together with your family, limbs touching, sharing heat. The smell of the earth floor is strong. You close your eyes. Your body throbs. Your neck aches from the wood. Your hands sting from the axe. Your stomach is full, but just barely. You drift off, not into a peaceful dream, but into a heavy, black oblivion, knowing that the only thing separating you from the jungle is a thin wall of sticks, and the only thing separating you from starvation is the strength of your own tired arms. And in 6 hours, the howler monkeys will scream again. We leave the mud, we leave the thatch, we ascend. Rise with me now up the steep limestone ridges, out of the dense green choke of the undergrowth, to the white stone platforms of Lakama, the place we now call Palonk. Here the air smells different. It does not smell of rot and wet earth. It smells of palm, copal incense, a sweet, piney, resinous smoke that drifts permanently through these corridors, masking the scent of the jungle below. We are entering the palace. It is a labyrinth of stone, courtyards, and towers, painted in vivid reds and blues that sting the eyes in the bright sun. But inside, in the private chambers, it is cool. You are Kinich Janab Pakal. You are the Kuhulajau, the Holy Lord, and your day begins not with labor, but with the heavy burden of being a god. You wake on a raised platform. Your bed is not a reed mat, but a pile of jaguar pelts and woven cotton blankets. The cotton is soft, softer than anything a farmer will ever touch in his life. But as you open your eyes, your first sensation is not comfort. It is the weight of your own head. Reach up and touch your forehead. It is not like the forehead of a modern man. It slopes back sharply, drastically, continuing the line of your nose in a single smooth sweep all the way to the crown of your head. When you were an infant, mere days old, your mother and the priests bound your soft, pliable skull between two wooden boards. They tightened the ropes day by day, compressing your head, forcing the bone to grow upward and backward. It was a process of immense pressure. It shaped you to resemble the maize god. It shaped you to look like an ear of corn, the source of all life. Now, as a man of 60 years, this shape is your identity. But it is also a fragility. Your sinuses are different. Your headaches are frequent. A dull, throbbing pressure behind the eyes that reminds you of the boards that bound you. You are physically separated from your subjects by the very architecture of your bone. You sit up. You do not move to get water. You do not dress yourself. To do so would be to break the illusion of your divinity. You wait. In the shadows of the room, attendants are waiting. They have been waiting for hours, standing perfectly still, barely breathing. At your slight movement, they step forward. They are silent. They do not look you in the eye. They look at your feet or at the floor. The dressing begins. It is a slow, ritualistic construction. You are not putting on clothes, you are being assembled. First, the loincloth. It is not rough fiber, but a long, delicate strip of dyed cotton, embroidered with cosmic symbols. It is wrapped around you with practiced precision, layer upon layer. Then, the belt, a wide, stiff band of leather and heavy cloth. Suspended from it are celts, polished plaques of jade that hang down to your knees. When you walk, they will clank against each other. Tink, tink, a sound like breaking ice. This is the music of power. Next, the jewelry. You hold out your arms. Heavy cuffs of solid jade are slid onto your wrists. They are cold against your skin. A massive collar of greenstone beads is placed around your neck. It covers your entire chest. It is heavy, perhaps 5 or 6 kilograms of stone resting on your clavicles. You feel your posture shift to accommodate the weight. You must stand straighter, stiffer. Finally, the headdress. This is the torment of the crown. It is a framework of wood and wicker, towering 2 feet above your head. It is covered in the iridescent green tail feathers of the quetzal bird. These feathers are worth more than gold. They are the color of life, the color of the jungle, but the structure is unwieldy. It is strapped tightly under your chin and around your elongated skull. Once it is on, your range of motion is gone. You cannot turn your head quickly, you cannot look down easily. You must move your entire torso to see. You have become a statue, a rigid, glittering icon of authority. You stand there, sweat already beginning to form under the heavy jade collar. The humidity of the jungle does not respect your rank. You are encased in stone and wood, trapped inside your own regalia. You are the most powerful man in the Americas, yet you cannot even scratch your own nose. The attendants back away. The curtains are pulled aside. The sun hits your jade, turning you into a blinding figure of green fire. You take your first step. The jade clanks. The heavy headdress wobbles slightly, straining your neck muscles. You are ready to be seen. You are ready to endure the worship. You move slowly through the corridors of the palace. The jade anklets provide a rhythm to your walk, a heavy clattering cadence that echoes off the plastered walls. Every person you pass drops to their knees, pressing their foreheads into the dust. They do not dare look at you. You are the Kuhulajau, the Holy Lord, and your gaze is too powerful for mortals to meet. You arrive at the throne room. It is not a cavernous, dark hall. It is an airy, open portico, House E, painted in brilliant white. You ascend the stone bench that serves as your throne. It is hard limestone, covered only by a thin jaguar skin. You sit. This is your posture for the next 4 hours. You cannot slouch. You cannot cross your legs. You must sit with your back rigid, your hands resting on your knees, mimicking the statues of your ancestors. The headdress pulls at your neck. The jade collar presses on your collarbones. The business of the empire begins, and it is overwhelmingly, mind-numbingly dull. A provincial Sejal, a lesser noble, steps forward. He begins a long, droning recitation about tribute quotas. He speaks of loads of cocoa beans, bundles of cotton mantles, and jars of honey. He argues about rainfall and poor harvests. You must listen. You must appear wise, but your mind is screaming with boredom. The heat in the portico rises. Although servants stand behind you with fans made of macaw feathers, the air they move is hot. You feel a bead of sweat trickle from your hairline, running down the slope of your deformed forehead, stinging your eye. You cannot wipe it away. A god does not sweat. A god does not itch. You sit, frozen in jade, while the noble argues over the price of salt. But the boredom is merely the prelude to the pain. As the sun hits its zenith, the court is dismissed. The chatter fades. The heavy curtains are drawn. You are left alone with the high priest. The atmosphere shifts. The air becomes thick, charged with a terrifying solemnity. It is time to feed the gods. In the Maya worldview, the universe is a machine that runs on a specific fuel, ku, life force. And the most potent source of ku is royal blood. If you do not bleed, the sun might not rise tomorrow, the rains might not fall. The burden of the entire cosmos rests on your willingness to suffer. You stand up and move to the inner sanctum. A bowl is placed before you. Inside it are strips of bark paper, dry and crinkled. Next to the bowl lies the instrument. It is not a knife. It is a spine from a stingray. It is long, white, and serrated like a saw. It is designed not just to pierce, but to tear. You look at the spine. You have done this 100 times, yet your stomach still tightens. The body never truly forgets the memory of pain. You kneel. The stone floor is cold against your knees. You pick up the spine. Your hand must not shake. You are the king. You must show no fear, even to the priest. You extend your tongue. Or perhaps today, it is the soft flesh of the earlobe. You position the sharp, serrated point. Take a breath, hold it, push. The sensation is blinding. A sharp, hot, white light explodes behind your eyes. It is not a clean cut. The serrated edges catch and drag. You must push it all the way through. The metallic taste of copper fills your mouth. Tears prick at the corners of your eyes. An involuntary physiological response that you cannot control. You pull the spine through. The blood comes quickly, dark, royal red. You catch the droplets on the strips of bark paper. Drip, drip, drip. The pain is throbbing now, a deep rhythmic pulsing that matches your heartbeat. But you are not done. You take the blood-soaked paper and place it in a brazier filled with burning charcoal. Hiss. The blood boils. The paper catches fire. A thick gray smoke rises. It twists into the air, swirling towards the ceiling. This is the vision serpent. You stare into the smoke. The loss of blood, the shock of the pain, the heat of the room, and the lack of food. It all combines to induce a trance. The edges of your vision blur. The smoke seems to take shapes. You are looking for the faces of your ancestors, looking for approval, looking for a sign that you have bought your people one more day of life. You sit back on your heels, clutching a cloth to your wound. The adrenaline fades, leaving only the dull, aching throb and the exhaustion. You are the most powerful man in the world, surrounded by gold and jade, yet you sit alone in a smoke-filled room, bleeding into a bowl, enslaved by the very gods you claim to represent. The ritual is over. The smoke has cleared, but the metallic taste of blood remains in your mouth. You need fresh air. You leave the palace complex and walk out onto the great plaza. The afternoon sun is beginning to dip, casting long, dramatic shadows across the stucco facades of the city. You look across the open space to the structure that has consumed the last decade of your life, the Temple of the Inscriptions. To your subjects, it is a holy mountain of stone. To you, it is a waiting room. It is not yet finished. It is an active construction site. The air is filled with the sound that defines your reign, the clink, clink, clink of hundreds of stone chisels striking limestone. It is a deafening, constant industrial noise. Dust hangs over the pyramid like a fog. You walk towards it. You are drawn to it. You climb the exterior steps. They are steep, designed to force anyone ascending to bow forward in a posture of submission, but you do not climb to the top. You enter a small, unassuming opening at the base of the temple. This is a secret, a hidden stairway that descends deep into the bowels of the pyramid, down to the level of the earth itself. As you step inside, the temperature drops. The humidity of the jungle is replaced by the cool, damp breath of the earth. It is dark. An attendant lights a pine torch. The resin sizzles, casting flickering orange light on the wet walls. You descend. The stairs are narrow and slippery with condensation. You go down, step by step, deeper into the artificial cave you have built. You are walking into your own afterlife. At the bottom, you reach the burial chamber. It is a vaulted room, oppressive in its weight. The air here is stale, having been trapped under tons of stone. In the center of the room sits the sarcophagus, a massive block of stone hollowed out to receive your body. It is empty now, a cold, gaping mouth waiting to be fed. But it is the lid that captures your attention. It is a single, immense slab of limestone, weighing several tons. It is currently propped up on wooden beams, hovering above the box. You run your hand over the surface. It is covered in intricate carvings. You see yourself. The artists have carved your likeness into the stone. But in the image, you are not ruling. You are falling. You are depicted in the moment of death, tilting backward, descending into the open jaws of the underworld monster. From your stomach rises the world tree. It is a beautiful, terrifying promise that from your death life will continue. You trace the lines of the carving. You think of the man who carved this. Perhaps it took him 5 years of his life, chipping away millimeter by millimeter, breathing in the stone dust that would kill him, just to ensure your soul has a map. You look to the wall. There is a small, curious detail, a stone tube, a psychoduct, running from the sarcophagus, up along the stairway, all the way to the temple floor far above. A hollow vein of stone. This is your escape route. Not for your body, that will rot in the damp dark, but for your soul. When the time comes, when the jade mask is placed over your face and the heavy lid slams shut, this tube will be your only connection to the world of the living. You stand there for a long time in the flickering torchlight. The silence of the tomb is heavy. You are the great sun shield, the lord of the jungle, yet you are standing in a stone box that will eventually become your entire universe. You turn to leave. The climb back up to the sunlight is hard. Your knees ache. Your breath is short. You emerge from the pyramid, blinking in the sudden brightness of the late afternoon. The jungle stretches out before you, an endless ocean of green. It looks peaceful, but you know the truth. It is patient. It is waiting. Waiting for the workers to stop chipping. Waiting for the city to fall silent. Waiting to wrap its roots around your temple and pull it back down into the earth. You adjust your heavy jade collar, take a deep breath of the humid air, and walk back towards the palace. The sun is setting. Time moves forward. We are no longer in the golden age of Pakal. We have jumped ahead nearly 200 years. We are still in the same city, but the atmosphere has changed. The air feels different. It is thinner, sharper, and filled with a microscopic grit that coats your tongue. We are entering one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries, the classic Maya collapse. Why did millions of people abandon these magnificent garden cities? It begins not with an explosion, not with an invasion, but with the sky. Imagine you are standing at the edge of the great city reservoir. In the time of Pakal, this was a shimmering artificial lake filled with millions of gallons of water covered in water lilies. It was a symbol of the king's power to control the environment. But look at it now. The waterline has receded. It is terrifyingly low. You can see the stains on the limestone walls marking where the water used to be. 10 feet higher, 20 feet higher. The water that remains is a murky, stagnant brown sludge. It smells of rot. The lilies are dead, their brown, crispy leaves floating on the surface like debris. You look up. The sky is a pale, hazy white. The deep, rich blue of the tropical sky is gone, hidden behind a veil of atmospheric dust. The sun is a blurry, angry eye staring down at the parched earth. This is the Megadrought. It is a climate event so severe that we can still read it today in the stalagmites of caves nearby. The chemical signature of the stone tells us that for nearly a century, the rains simply failed to arrive. Walk with me to the milpa, the cornfield we visited in the first hour. The scene is heartbreaking. The corn stalks are there, but they are stunted. They reach only to your waist, not your head. The leaves are yellow and brittle. When the wind blows, a hot, dry wind that brings no relief, the field makes a sound like crinkling paper. Rustle, snap, rustle. You kneel down and touch the soil. It is gray and powdery. It runs through your fingers like ash. There is no moisture to hold it together. This is the horror of the Maya farmer in the 9th century. You have done everything right. You have made the offerings. You have bled onto the bark paper. The priests have danced in their heavy jade costumes until they collapsed from heat exhaustion. The king has performed the rituals, but the Chak, the rain god, is silent. There is a specific kind of anxiety that comes with a drought. It is a slow-motion panic. You watch the clouds gather on the horizon, dark, promising heavy rain. You feel a spark of hope. You smell the ozone, but then the wind shifts. The clouds break apart. The rain falls as virga, evaporating before it even hits the ground. You watch the water vanish in mid-air. The heat in the city becomes unbearable. Without the cooling effect of the rain and the shade of the dense jungle, which has been cut down to make room for more farms to feed the growing population, the limestone city becomes an oven. The white stucco of the pyramids reflects the sun, dazzling and blinding. You walk through the plaza. There is tension in the shoulders of the people you pass. They are thinner. Their eyes are hollow. The social contract is breaking. The king promised that if you built his temples and gave him your corn, he would speak to the gods and bring the rain. You gave the corn. You built the temple, but the rain has not come. You look at the palace. The red paint is peeling slightly. Maintenance has slowed down. The focus is entirely on survival. The ornate carvings of the rain god, with his curling nose and goggle eyes, seem to mock you from the freezes. At night, the jungle is quieter. The frogs who need moisture to breed are gone. The silence of the frogs is the loudest sound of all. It is the sound of an ecosystem shutting down. You lie on your mat listening to the dry wind rattle the thatch, wondering if the water in the cistern will last another week. You calculate, if you drink less tomorrow, maybe the children can have more. This is how the end begins, not with a bang, but with a thirsty throat and a dusty wind. Thirst is a sharp, immediate panic, but hunger is a slow, grinding erosion. It is the feeling of your own body consuming itself from the inside out. Years have passed since the rains first failed. The granaries, those massive beehive-shaped storehouses that were once filled to the brim with dried maize, are now hollow. When you shout inside them, your voice echoes against the bare stone walls. The rats have long since eaten the last kernels and moved on. You are eating things now that you would not have considered food a generation ago. You dig for tough, fibrous roots in the forest floor. You strip the bark from certain trees to boil into a bitter tea that tricks the stomach for an hour, but provides no nourishment. You hunt, but the animals are gone too, either dead from thirst or hunted to extinction by thousands of other desperate families. Look at your hands. The skin is papery and dry, your knuckles are swollen. This is not just weight loss, it is malnutrition written into the bone. If we were to look at the skeletons of children from this specific era, we would see spongy skulls, a condition called porotic hyperostosis caused by severe anemia. The very architecture of the human body is failing, just like the architecture of the city. Walk through the great plaza again. The soundscape has changed terrifyingly. Remember the clink, clink, clink of the stone chisels from the days of Pakal? That sound, the heartbeat of the empire, has stopped. You walk past a massive limestone block. It is half-carved. A master mason had begun to shape the face of a god into the rock. The nose is finished, the eyes are detailed, but the headdress remains a rough, unworked lump. The chisel marks are fresh, as if the worker put down his tool for a lunch break and simply never came back. Weeds are growing in the cracks of the plaza floor. In the golden age, these would have been pulled immediately. Now they are left to grow. Vines are creeping up the sides of the pyramids, their roots digging into the red stucco, peeling it away in large, flaky scabs. The city is beginning to look like a carcass. But the most dangerous crack is not in the stone, it is in the belief. You look up at the palace. The king is still there. He is still wearing the heavy jade, but you see him differently now. For centuries, the deal was simple. You work, he bleeds, and the gods provide. He is bleeding. He is performing the rituals with frantic desperation. You hear the drums beating from the temples day and night, a manic rhythm trying to wake the sleeping gods. But the sky remains empty. The illusion of his divinity is shattering. You see the elites, the sajals, the priests. They are thinner too, but not as thin as you. You see the smoke of cooking fires rising from the palace compounds, while your own hearth is cold. Resentment begins to brew. It is not a loud revolution with banners and speeches. It is a quiet, sullen anger. Look closely at the walls of the lesser buildings. You see scratches in the plaster, graffiti. But this is not official art. These are crude drawings scratched by commoners. They depict the nobles not as gods but as fools. Some drawings show the kings being humiliated. It is a silent scream of frustration carved into the very walls of the power that is failing you. The social order is dissolving. Neighbors who once shared water now guard their cisterns with obsidian knives. The trade routes have collapsed. No salt is coming from the coast. No obsidian from the mountains. The world is shrinking down to the size of your village, the size of your house, the size of your empty stomach. You sit in the shadow of a half-finished temple, chewing on a piece of tough root, watching the sun set through the haze of dust. You realize that the stone will last forever, but the people are fading away. The end does not come with fire and sword. There is no great invading army marching up the causeways. The end comes with a decision, made quietly, in the dark corners of 1,000 family huts. You look at your children. They are too thin. The cornfield is dead. The reservoir is empty. You know with a heavy certainty that if you stay here, you will die. The stone temples cannot feed you. The king cannot save you. It is time to go. The preparation is somber. You do not pack much because you have almost nothing left. You take your tools, the obsidian blades, the stone axes. You take the grinding stones, the manos and metats, if you can carry them. They are heavy, but they are the tools of life. But before you leave, there is one final act, the termination ritual. You take your ceramic bowls, the ones you have eaten from your whole life. You place them in the center of the room, and you smash them. Crack. You punch a hole in the bottom of the pots. This is not an act of anger. It is an act of release. You are killing the object, releasing its spirit so it cannot be used by anyone else. You are closing the chapter. You scatter the shards across the floor of the house. You sweep the floor one last time. It is a strange instinct to clean a house you are abandoning to the forest, but you do it. You leave it in order. You step outside. The sun is rising, casting that same pale, dusty light over the city. You look around. You're not alone. A stream of families are leaving. It is a silent exodus. There is no wailing, no shouting. Just the sound of bare feet on the causeways, the shuffling of tired bodies carrying heavy loads. They are heading north towards the coast. or simply scattering into the deep forest to live in small isolated clusters near surviving water sources. You walk past the great plaza one last time. You look up at the temple of the inscriptions. The paint is fading. A small sapling is growing out of the roof comb of the temple, its roots prying the stones apart. The jungle has already begun its work. The city is not destroyed, it is simply stopped. The fires in the palace are out. The throne is empty. The heavy jade collar lies abandoned in a room, gathering dust. The calendar counts the days, but there is no one left to read it. As you walk into the tree line, you do not look back. The jungle closes behind you like a green curtain. Weeks pass, then months, then years. The silence of the city becomes absolute. The wind blows through the empty corridors of the palace, whistling through the windows. The thatch roofs of the commoners' huts rot and collapse, leaving only the low stone foundations. Then the biology returns. Vines crawl up the temple stairs, using the steps as a ladder to the sun. The roots of the saber trees grow thick and heavy, wrapping around the limestone stelae, crushing the carved faces of the kings. The moss covers the inscriptions, erasing the dates, erasing the names, erasing the history. The howler monkeys return to the plaza, their roars echoing off the stone walls that were once sacred. Jaguars prowl the throne rooms, sleeping in the cool shade where the holy lords once sat. The city sleeps. It waits under the blanket of the forest, preserved in the humidity and the dark, waiting for 1,000 years to pass before another human foot steps on these stones. But for you, the farmer, the story is over. You have walked away from the grandeur, back into the earth, leaving the stone to the silence. We move now to a different kind of struggle. We are not in the fields and we are not in the silent tomb. We are in the great ball court. Imagine an alleyway of stone, shaped like the capital letter I. The walls on either side slope upwards, high and imposing. The acoustics here are terrifyingly perfect. If you whisper at one end of the court, a person standing 100 meters away at the other end can hear you clearly. Today the court is filled with the murmur of the elite, a sound that bounces off the limestone walls like nervous energy. You are a player, a Pitz player. This is not a recreational sport. This is a reenactment of creation. You are about to play a game against the lords of the underworld, but first you must survive the preparation. You stand in a small antechamber. It is hot. The preparation for the game is a ritual of binding. You cannot play this game with your bare body. The ball would kill you. You begin with the padding. Attendants wrap your forearms in thick layers of quilted cotton, tighter and tighter, until your arms feel numb. They do the same to your knees. You will be sliding on limestone pavement today. Without this cotton armor, your skin would be flayed in minutes. Then comes the yoke. This is the most critical piece of equipment. It is a heavy, horseshoe-shaped belt made of wood, or sometimes even stone, covered in leather. It is placed around your waist, resting on your hips. It is massive. It creates a solid, artificial shelf around your midsection. You grunt as the straps are tightened. The yoke restricts your breathing. It forces you to move from your core, stiff and deliberate. On top of the yoke, you attach the hacha, a decorative stone marker shaped like a face or an animal. It adds even more weight. You stand up. You feel like a tank. You are encased in padding, leather, and wood. The sweat is already pouring down your face, soaking the quilted cotton. You smell the wet leather, the dust of the court, and the fear of the man standing next to you. You walk out onto the court. The sun is brutal here. The white walls reflect the heat, creating a convection oven effect. The floor of the court is hard, unyielding stone. You look up. High on the sloping walls, 6 meters above the ground, is a stone ring. It is tiny. The hole is barely larger than the ball itself. To pass the ball through that ring is nearly impossible. A miracle that might happen once in a lifetime. But that is not the only goal. The goal is to keep the ball in motion, to keep the sun moving across the sky. You take your position. The silence of the crowd is heavy. You check your footing. The stone is slippery with dust. You tap your padded hip against the hard rubber of your yoke. Thud. You are ready. The referee stands on the sideline. He holds the ball. Look closely at this object. It is not the hollow, air-filled sphere of modern sports. It is a solid, dense mass of cured rubber, harvested from the Castilla elastica tree. It is black, heavy, and smells faintly of sulfur and smoke. It weighs 4 kilograms, nearly 9 pounds. Imagine a bowling ball made of hard tire rubber. He drops it. Thud. The sound it makes hitting the stone floor is deep and dead. It bounces, but the bounce is heavy. It carries momentum that can break a bone. The game begins. But this is a game of prohibition. You cannot use your hands. You cannot use your feet. You can only use your hips, your elbows, and your knees. You must manipulate this cannonball using the most awkward parts of your human anatomy. The ball comes hurtling towards you. It is a black blur against the white limestone walls. You have a split second to calculate the angle. You cannot catch it. You must deflect it. You drop your center of gravity. You twist your torso. You lunge forward, sliding on the padded knee guards. The stone floor grinds against the cotton. Dust puffs up into your face. You thrust your hip forward to meet the ball. Crack. The impact is shocking. Even through the thick leather of the yoke and the layers of quilted cotton, the force travels straight into your iliac crest, the hip bone. It is a dull, jarring vibration that rattles your teeth. It feels less like hitting a ball and more like running into a wall. You grunt, expelling the air from your lungs, but you cannot stop. You must scramble back to your feet. The ball is still moving. It ricochets off the sloping wall, gaining speed as it descends. Your teammate dives for it. He hits it with his elbow. You see the grimace on his face. The skin on his elbow is already raw, the capillaries bursting under the repeated trauma. Massive, dark bruises, hematomas, are blossoming on his ribs and thighs. In this game, the bruise is not an injury. It is a uniform. The heat in the court is stifling. The high walls block the breeze, trapping the sun's radiation. The temperature on the court floor can reach 50 degrees Celsius. Your heart is hammering against your ribs, not just from exertion, but from the thermal stress. You are boiling inside your padding. There are no timeouts. There is no halftime show. There is only the relentless thud, thud, thud of the heavy rubber against stone. You look up at the stone ring again. It mocks you. To get the ball through there would require a perfect vertical strike. It rarely happens. Instead, you play for points, forcing the other team to let the ball touch the ground or to miss a return. You are trapped in a cycle of lunging, sliding, and impact. Your body is becoming a map of pain. Your hip feels like it is on fire. Your mouth is full of limestone dust. But you play on. Because to let the ball stop is to let the sun stop. And if the sun stops, the world ends. The game ends. It does not end with a whistle, but with a sudden, decisive shift in the atmosphere. Perhaps the heavy rubber ball has finally touched the ground in the wrong zone. Perhaps a player has collapsed. The exhaustion is absolute. You stand in the center of the court, your chest heaving against the tight leather yoke. Your body is covered in a paste of sweat and limestone dust. But the silence that descends on the stadium is heavier than the fatigue. The crowd, which had been murmuring and betting, falls quiet. The sun is dipping low, casting the court into deep shadow, while the temple at the end of the plaza still glows in the dying light. It is time for the conclusion. And in the Maya world, a game against the gods requires a payment. The captain of the defeated team steps forward. Or perhaps it is a high-ranking captive, a noble from a rival city who was forced to play for his life. He knows the script. He knows what comes next. There is no struggle. To struggle would be to insult the gods. To struggle would be to admit fear. And in this moment he is more than a man. He is a messenger. He begins to climb the steps of the temple. Watch him. His legs are tired from the game. He moves slowly. Step, pause, step, pause. The sound of his jade ornaments clinking is the only sound in the plaza. He is ascending towards the sky, leaving the mortal world behind. He reaches the summit. The high priest is waiting. The stone altar is waiting. It is a small, round, convex stone, designed to arch the back, to expose the chest to the stars. The player lies down. He looks up at the sky, which is turning a deep bruise purple. He sees the first stars appearing, the very stars he is about to join. The priest raises the obsidian blade. It is not a weapon of war, it is a tool of creation. It glitters black in the twilight. The movement is swift. We will not dwell on the visceral mechanics of the act. We will simply say that the debt is paid. The precious eagle cactus fruit, the heart, is offered to the sun. The life force, the ku, is released from the cage of the body to fuel the movement of the universe. The body, now an empty vessel, is rolled down the steep steps. Thump, thump, thump. It comes to rest at the bottom of the pyramid, back on the hard earth of the ball court. The sun sets. The ritual is complete. The cosmos is secure for another day. The crowd disperses silently into the jungle night, leaving the empty court, the cold stone ring, and the heavy rubber ball alone in the dark. And now we leave them. We step back from the ball court. We step back from the silent drought-stricken plazas. We step back from the tomb of Pakal and the cornfields of the farmer. Let the jungle grow back. Imagine the vines creeping over the limestone walls, inch by inch, covering the history in a blanket of soft green. Imagine the roots of the saber trees wrapping around the temples, holding them in a slow, eternal embrace. The noise of the chisels has stopped. The roar of the crowd has faded. The cry of the howler monkey is distant and soft. You have walked a long road tonight. You have felt the weight of the stone axe, the heat of the tropical sun, and the burden of the jade crown. You have seen how hard, how demanding, and how fragile life was for those who came before us. But you are safe. You are not sleeping on a reed mat on a hard earth floor. You are not listening for the spirits in the thatch roof. You are not waiting for rain that might never come. You are here in the comfort of the modern night. The air around you is cool. The surface beneath you is soft. The darkness is not full of monsters. It is full of peace. You do not have to bleed for the sun to rise. It will rise on its own, effortlessly, while you sleep. So let the stone cities fade into the mist. Let the heavy burden of history slide off your shoulders. The work is done. The offering is made. The jungle sleeps. And now, so can you. Good night.